Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today. This is Naomi and I'm a nutritionist here at Nosh. I just want to let you know that for those of you who have asked, we will be posting today's webinar up onto our website, which you can access through our members link in a few days. And for those of you who have emailed and asked specifically, then I will send you the link to the webinar when it's available. I will also try and address any questions that you've asked as I go along. If there's anything I do miss, then please do feel free to email me after the webinar. And my email address is nutritionist@noshdetox.com. Okay, fantastic. So today I'm going to be talking about acne. Now, acne, most of us grew up believing the common misconception that acne is something that only teenagers suffer from. And in truth, it's actually a lot more common. Actually, 1 in 5 women between the ages of 25 and 40 suffer from acne at some time. And so it's likely that many of you who are listening may have suffered or indeed are suffering at the moment with this condition. Today I want to discuss acne, why it occurs, and hopefully clear up some of the misconceptions that occur about whether or not what you eat can actually have any effect on this condition. So firstly, I just want to look at what causes acne. So acne typically results from, it's the clogging of the hair follicles in the skin, and this occurs due to excess sebum production from the sebaceous glands in the skin. Now, sebum is the oily substance that is released that in normal amounts actually helps to keep your hair and skin from drying out. But in excess amounts, what it can do is it can mix with the dead cells from the walls of the skin follicles and actually create a plug, and this can block the pore. What happens with these blocked pores is then the bacteria colonizes, and this leads to an immune response, which leads to this infection and inflammation that you see in acne. So what is it that causes this excess sebum production? Well, it's actually thought to be hormonally influenced and has been shown to increase with high levels of the hormones androgen, in particular testosterone, and another hormone called insulin growth factor 1. What effect does what we have to eat have on the condition of acne? Well, this is actually still a widely debated topic. Junk food is often blamed. You obviously often hear people saying that chips, chocolate, fizzy drinks, pizza can all cause acne. But is there any truth in this? Well, this is what I want to look at today. So to start with, to really highlight the potential effect that diets may have in acne, I just want to tell you about a study that was done 2003, and it was published in the Archives of Dermatology. Now, what this study did is it's centered around a group of people on Kitva Island in Papua New Guinea. It studied 1,200 people's diets, looked at their diets, looked at their lifestyle, and what was absolutely staggering was that not one instance of acne was found in 1,200 people. Now, I just want to emphasize the point that this study included 300 teenagers and young adults between the ages of 15 and 25, and not one instance of acne was found. And these findings were actually supported by another study looking at a group of people in a remote jungle in Paraguay, and again, 0 incidence of acne. So I just want to compare this to the UK, where acne affects approximately 80% of young people at some point between the ages of 11 and 30. And you'll see quite how remarkable this finding is. So I want to just look at this a little bit more closely. So we're looking at this group of people on the Kitva Island, looking at their diet. So they're physically active and they eat a completely fresh whole food diet, which composes mostly of roots, fruits and vegetables. They eat very few animal products, so virtually no red meat and dairy. And the carbohydrates they eat are very low glycemic index, so mostly vegetables, roots and some fruits. And they consume very few refined carbohydrates, so things like white flour products, sweets, cakes and biscuits. So a really natural whole food diet, lots of fruit, lots of vegetables. Now let's compare this to a typical westernized diet, which unfortunately tends to be high in refined and processed foods, high in meat and dairy products, high in sugar, and in the majority of people, not enough fruit, vegetables and natural produce. So we compare these two diets and we start to form a picture. And what these findings do is they really do provide a compelling case for the adoption of this Paleolithic, so this plant-based natural diet for the treatment of acne. As I said, absolutely no acne was found in either of these populations following this Paleolithic diet. So what I want to look at really is what it is in the Western diet that may be contributing to the prevalence of acne, and why is it so widespread here? So what studies seem to be showing is that it's not necessarily food items directly that are causing acne, but rather the chemicals released during the metabolism of some of the foods we eat that may be contributing to this condition. So it has been hypothesized that a diet that produces high levels of the hormone insulin may be a culprit. And insulin in our body is released in response to, it always is released when we eat foods, and the amount of insulin that's produced depends on the sort of foods we're eating. So if we release a lot of insulin in response to sugar and processed carbohydrates. As I said before, these foods are virtually absent in the diets of those in the cultures of Papua New Guinea and Paraguay, but something that's very prevalent in the westernized diet. So there seems to be this link between insulin levels and acne. So what is this link and what's going on in the body? Well, when insulin is elevated, it increases the release of insulin growth factor 1. And we mentioned this hormone earlier as something that's been shown to contribute to acne. And what insulin growth factor 1 does is it both increases the growth of skin follicle cells, leading to increasing the likelihood of these cells becoming blocked. And it also increases production of testosterone, which, as I mentioned before, then encourages the skin to produce large amounts of sebum. So in summary, it has been proposed that a diet which causes a spike in insulin may influence the occurrence of acne by increasing the production of this insulin growth factor 1. So what can we do to avoid these spikes in insulin? Well, the main dietary approach to this is to be following a diet that helps to balance your blood sugar levels. And I just want to give you my 6 top tips for keeping your blood sugar levels nice and steady. So the first tip is to be eating little and often. So we want to make sure we're having our 3 meals plus snacks in between every day. So really not going for more than 3 to 4 hours without eating. And what this is going to do is it's going to avoid these dips in blood sugar levels, which then causes you to go for that sugary snack and get that rush of insulin, which is obviously causing the problems. Secondly, avoiding refined carbohydrates and sugar. And what these do is they cause these huge rushes in blood sugar. So instead, what we want to be opting for is low GI carbohydrates, so things like whole grains, oats and beans, lots and lots of fruit and vegetables. And we always want to be opting for the whole grain rather than the white option. So when we're buying things like bread, pasta, flour and rice. And also by doing this, you're just going to be getting so many more nutrients as well, because these are always stripped from these refined products. My third tip would be to eat some protein with every meal and snack. And what protein does is it helps to slow the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. So again, helping with this blood sugar level balance. Good sources of protein, lean meat, fish, eggs, yogurts and nuts are all really fantastic sources. If you're suffering from acne, you should avoid protein in the form of dairy and red meat. And I'm going to talk about why this is in a short while. Fourth tip, increase your level of fibre intake through fruit and vegetables. And really, I know we harp about our 5 a day, but really we should be aiming for more like 8 or 9 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. And again, what this fibre does is it helps to slow the absorption of sugar into your blood. Fibre is also really beneficial for acne as it helps to regulate your digestion, and a good digestive system helps us to clear all the old hormones out of our body, so really important. Fifth tip, always eat a good breakfast. This really helps to set your blood sugar levels off well for the day. Make sure you have a good source of fibre and protein in your breakfast. And sixth tip is to avoid stimulants. So replace your tea and coffee with herbal teas where you can. If you are going to have a tea or coffee, then make sure you have it along foods so it doesn't cause this rise in blood sugar levels. Okay, so these are things you can do to help keep a good blood sugar level balance, help to control your levels of insulin, which has been shown to have such an effect on acne. Now, secondly, what I want to look at is dairy products and how this may have an effect on acne. Now, milk is designed to grow things, and in the case of cow's milk, calves, so it's naturally full of what we call anabolic hormones, so hormones for growth. And these hormones include testosterone and this insulin growth factor 1. And all milk is going to contain this, even organic milk. And alongside this, the average glass of milk contains a staggering 60 hormones. So really food for thought there. So taking this into account and knowing what we do about acne and how it's related to hormones, could dairy consumption be related to acne? Well, this is something that's actually undergoing a lot of research, and there have been findings that do suggest a link between dairy consumption and acne. A large study that was carried out called the Nurses' Health Study reported that women who consumed more milk as adolescents actually showed a greater prevalence of acne than those with minimal consumption. Now, these observations have yet to be proven definitively. However, taking what we know into consideration, I would really recommend that acne sufferers try eliminating dairy from their diet to see if it does have any beneficial effect. Best way to do this is by following what is known as an elimination diet. So cutting out all dairy products from your diet for a period of 4 weeks, and during this time seeing if you notice any improvement to your symptoms. So what is dairy? Well, dairy usually classifies any product that comes from a cow, but in this context we're going to include goats and sheep products too. So if you're following a dairy elimination diet, you need to cut out all milk, cheese and butter from your diet. Now, I know this may sound a little daunting, but it's actually a lot easier to go dairy-free than you may think, as there just really are so many fantastic alternatives out there now, catering for everything. There's a wide range of milks now. We've got soya milk, different nut milk, so almond milk, rice milk, even coconut milk now. And most of these can actually be found in mainstream supermarkets, so you don't even have to go foraging around health stores anymore. Get a few of these, try them and see what you like. Just a note, just to be careful when you're checking food labels, and always go for the unsweetened versions, as lots of these milk products can actually have added sugar. And as we've already learned, this sugar's not good for acne either. I mean, going dairy-free will also require you just to be a little bit more label savvy, as dairy can come in many different disguises. So when you're checking food labels, there's just a couple of terms you just need to look out for that may represent that do represent the presence of dairy. So alongside obviously just milk, you need to look for lactose, casein, skimmed milk powder, milk solids, whey and milk sugar. And if any of those are found on a food label, then that's an indication that there's dairy in that product. And you just need to keep an eye out. Dairy is often hidden in shop-sized breads, crisps, ready meals, soups, sauces and condiments. So you just really do need to keep a close eye. But with time, you will start to learn where it is. And the closer you eat to a natural diet, then the easier it is going to be to eliminate dairy completely. Now, there's often a concern with people if I'm asking them to cut out dairy, that they're worried about their calcium levels, which is completely understandable. And dairy is a really good source of calcium. But the good news is that you can get adequate amounts of calcium from other foods too. The main ones being nuts, seeds, tin fish, so fish like mackerel or sardines that have the small little soft bones. They're a really fantastic source of calcium. And actually the best source is your green leafy vegetables. Good for so many things, but particularly good source of calcium. So things like spinach, kale, get those into your diet as much as you can, and you're going to be getting really good levels of calcium that your body can absorb. Okay, so we've looked at sugar and dairy. And now the third part of our typical Western diet I now want to look at is our fat intake. Now, unfortunately, our typical diet here in the UK is too high in what are known as inflammatory fats. Now, what these are fats that in excess amounts can actually contribute to inflammation in the body. And these fats are our saturated fats, trans fats, and an excess of omega-6 fats, which we find in processed vegetable and corn oils, which are found in so many of our processed foods. What's the relationship here? Well, we know that acne is caused by the blocking of pores and then subsequent inflammation. So what this suggests is that a diet high in substances that actually cause inflammation is going to be detrimental for acne. So what my recommendation is for acne sufferers is that they cut down and ideally cut out their intake, especially of trans fats. So trans fats are the ones found most prominently in deep-fried foods and pastries. If you look on food labels, it will also often be labelled as hydrogenated fat or hydrogenated oils. really would be beneficial to cut out. Also, I would advise acne sufferers to reduce their intake of saturated fats as well, because these in large amounts can cause this inflammation, and these are largely found in red meat and dairy. Now, we've talked about these bad fats, but what's really important to get across is the fat is certainly not all bad. The omega-3 family of fats have really important anti-inflammatory properties. And so it's really important that acne sufferers get really good levels of these into their diet. So these omega-3 fats, where are they found? Well, largely in oily fish. So your salmon, tuna, mackerel and sardines. You should really be aiming to get these fish into your diet at least 3 times a week, if not more. In smaller amounts, it's also found in flaxseed and flaxseed oil. So if you can get this into your diet too, flaxseed oil spread on your salad, you can pop flax seeds in your breakfast. I go on about them a lot for various health reasons, but a really good source of omega-3, especially if you're not really a fish eater. And if you're not a fish eater, I would actually also recommend that you do take a good omega-3 supplement, or a good fish oil supplement. So that is fat. And on the same topic of anti-inflammatory foods, I just want to mention a couple of other foods that have been shown to have really powerful anti-inflammatory effects in the body, and which I would also recommend you increase if you're suffering from acne. Firstly, berries. So all different types of berries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. I mean, always go by what's in season. And these are really, really rich in powerful antioxidants, which can help ease inflammation. In fact, when we're talking about powerful antioxidants, color is really the key here. So every color represents a different antioxidant and a different benefit for the body. So the saying, eat a rainbow every day, really rings true. So you want to be trying to get as much color as you can into your diet through fresh fruit and vegetables. So we've got all our sweet potatoes and our butternut squash, and we've got our tomatoes, all our green leafy vegetables. So if you can just try and get that whole spectrum of colour in your plate, you're really going to get some powerful antioxidants and some powerful anti-inflammatory foods there. And just a mention of a couple of spices, both ginger and turmeric have both been shown to have really, really fantastic anti-inflammatory properties. So these two, wherever you can get them in your diet, then do. Now, just lastly, on the topic of foods for acne, I want to mention zinc. And this mineral has a really important role in regulating hormone imbalances within the body. And it's also shown to have a role to play in healthy skin maintenance and actually controlling sebum production. So a really fantastic mineral to get into your diet if you're suffering from acne. So where can you find it? It's found in shellfish, it's found in poultry, oats, pumpkin seeds and ginger. They're all really good sources of this mineral. And actually zinc may be something that I would recommend you supplementing as an acne sufferer. So that brings the diet to the end for today. Now, what I want to briefly mention are just products that you're putting on your skin, and just a little bit of advice here. Now, when it comes to acne, the best advice really is less is more. So what creams and makeup do is they just add to this clogging up of the pores and encourage bacteria to harbour. So whenever you can, when you're at home and on your own and not going out, go makeup free and just give your skin, clean your skin and give it really an opportunity to breathe and repair naturally. When you are using products, try and use natural products wherever you can. So chemical-free products, a lot easier to get now. You just need to Google natural products, and there's some really fantastic sites out there. What overloading the skin with harsh chemicals does is it strips the skin of its natural oils. And what the skin does in response to that is it makes more oil to compensate. And it's this overproduction of oil that then leads to these blocked pores, which then consequently leads to acne. Tea tree oil actually can be particularly beneficial for acne. Just dabbing a bit of that on, as it has really strong antibacterial properties. And maybe try a natural face mask. One I've heard that people have had really good results with is combining half a cup of strawberries, a beaten egg white and a couple of teaspoons of manuka honey. And what strawberries does is contain a natural compound. There's a drying ingredient that can help with oil production. and the Manuka honey has really strong antibacterial properties. So just a really nice natural face mask to try. Papaya is another fruit that can double up as a face mask. Fresh papaya, just mash it up and try that. Some people have said that it's really beneficial in helping with acne scars. So just to finish off, with the danger of sounding like a broken record, my last piece of advice is to drink more water, which is normally the piece of advice for most things I talk about. If your skin becomes dehydrated, then dead skin cells are not effectively shed, and this can lead to these blocked pores and can contribute to acne. So really you should be aiming for your at least 2 litres of good filtered water every day. A really great way to do this is if you have a large bottle on your desk at work, and just set yourself the task of finishing it by the end of the day. So just sip it gently throughout the day, and this is really only going to be beneficial. Okay, so that brings me almost to the end of today's webinar on acne. I'll just summarise my main pieces of advice for you to take away today. Firstly, the importance of following a low GI blood sugar balancing diet for helping to regulate your insulin levels and your levels of this insulin growth factor 1, which has been shown to contribute towards acne. Secondly, trying to eliminate dairy from your diet to see if this has any beneficial effect. Thirdly, increasing your intake of these good inflammatory fats, so these omega-3 fats. Number 4, increasing your intake of antioxidants in the form of brightly coloured fruit and vegetables. Number 5, increasing your intake of zinc through diet and perhaps through supplementation. And lastly, drinking more water. I just want to also just address a question that somebody asked me about antibiotics. Now, if you've been on antibiotics, especially if you've been on antibiotics for a long period of time, then what antibiotics do is that they kill the bacteria, but they're non-discriminate. So if you're on antibiotics for a long time, they can actually kill some of the good bacteria that occurs in your digestive system. And if any of you have been on them for long periods of time, you may find that your digestion suffers as a result. And that's because, as well as killing any bad bacteria in your body, it's also disrupting this good bacteria in your digestive system. Now, if you're not digesting properly, then you're not excreting toxins properly. And one side effect of this is that your body still has to get rid of toxins. So it has to find a different way to get rid of them. And sometimes this can affect your skin because you get breakouts in your skin where your body's trying to release these toxins. A recommendation, if this is relevant to you and you've been on antibiotics, I would always really recommend that you take a good probiotic supplement. What this does is this helps to clear up, replenish the good bacteria in your gut, and this can often have really beneficial effects for your skin. So definitely a really good piece of advice if you've been on antibiotics long term. Okay, well, I hope that I have covered everybody's questions. Somebody asked me about folic acid and whether this increases acne. Now, this is not something I've come across, and I had a quick look at whether there was any research out there for it, and there's nothing that I can find. However, if you do suspect that this may be an issue, I mean, people can react to supplements quite differently, then what I would recommend is you stop taking this supplement for a while and just see if it has any effect. I mean, more than likely it's going to be something else, maybe one of the factors we've discussed today, but if you do suspect it, then I would recommend stopping the supplement and seeing if that has any effect. Okay, fantastic. Well, if anyone has any more questions, then please don't hesitate to email me at nutritionist@noshdetox.com. I also do offer private consultations here at Nosh. So if this is something that you may be interested in, please do go onto our website and have a look, or do call us here, and we'd really love to hear from you. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you'll listen again next week. Okay, thank you.